Okay, I'm ready to begin if you are.
Okay, Stacy, thank you. Let's go ahead and begin the meeting. It's 4:03.
Okay, calling roll. Board Member Walker.
Here.
Board Member Tiffany.
Here.
Board Member McWilliams.
Here.
Board Member Johnson.
Here.
Board Member Fuentes.
Here.
Board Member Duff.
Here.
Board Member Dement. Board Member Dement.
He's
Board
going
Member
to be late.
Okay.
Christian doesn't know where it is.
Board Member Darby.
Here.
Board Member Blackman.
Here.
Vice Chair Dillard.
She's absent.
Okay, and Chair Castanos.
Here. Okay, thank you, Stacy. And could I get somebody there, maybe Bob, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Flags behind you. Ready to begin? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. And I apologize for being dark like this, but we'll do the best we can. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda for today?
None from staff.
Hearing none, we'll move over to public comments. Are there any public comments for items not on the agenda today?
There are no hands raised at this time and no e-comments.
Okay, thank you.
No, I'm sorry, we have one speaker. We have one hand. Oh.
It's Dennis. He's a panelist. I just promoted him.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, great. And as far as items on the agenda, are there any conflict disclosures from any members of the board? All right, hearing none, we can move on to current business. The first item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from the meeting we had on March 16th, 2022. You've had a chance to look over the minutes, and if you have seen anything that may need to be changed or added or corrected, please bring that up now.
I move the approval of the March 16th, 2022 minutes.
Okay, Larry Darby.
I'll second that.
That was Bob seconded it. Thank you. So Stacy.
Board Member Walker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Tiffany, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member McWilliams, how do you vote?
Abstain as I was not present for the meeting.
Board Member Johnson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Fuentes, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Duff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Is Board Member Dement here?
No.
Okay.
Actually,
Board
I am
member-
here. I am here.
Oh, he is here. Great.
Okay,
I'm gonna do the same because I've never been to a meeting before, so.
okay. Board Member Darby, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Blackman, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Chair Castanos, how do you vote?
Yes.
Motion carries with Board Member McWilliams and Board Member Dement abstaining.
Okay, thank you. Larry, you have your hand raised. Did you have a comment?
Yes, on the, why are we approving the minutes from March and not from April?
Probably because they're still working on those. Is that right, Stacy?
Yes, we're still working on catching up with the minutes for April, so it will be on the next agenda.
And
Okay.
what are we going to be consistently 2 months behind on the minutes?
No, we will make sure that we will catch up on the minutes and get into the minutes on approving the minutes for the previous month that we have the meeting for.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. So the next item on the agenda is, and I see Christian Dement, Reverend Dement is right on time. Introduction of new Community Police Oversight Board member. So Christian, I saw you earlier. Did you disappear? I don't see his name on the list now, but he was here just a second ago.
It
Where
looks
he
like
went.
he may have fallen off. I'll keep an eye out for if he joins him as attendee. I'll promote him.
Okay. So in the meantime, we can go ahead and listen to if Chief Sweeney is here and he would like to give us some updates from the La Mesa Police Department. We can go ahead and move forward with that. Come back to Christian later.
All right, thank you, Chair. It's good to see everybody and some that are on Zoom. I hope you get better soon, Janet. I just want to give a couple different updates. I wanted to first say thank you to the board members that showed up to the May 4th County Memorial Service for the fallen officers here in San Diego County. That was a great ceremony that we were finally able to do again after kind of a hiatus of a couple years because of COVID. So really appreciate that. Also wanted to just mention that this week is National Police Officer Memorial Week. Sunday was the official day, but this week honors all police officers that have died in the line of duty nationwide. I have some pretty exciting introductions today that I wanted to do. One unexpected that we got this morning, but as you know, I'd always like to introduce our officers that have just gotten off training and are on their own, because as I've explained, that is about a 1-year process from the time that we hire them, the 6 months in the academy, and then the 4 to 6 months in training, depending. But I have 2 of our newest officers here today. So I'd like to bring them up and just give you a brief introduction. First off is Officer Aaron Sims. If you come forward, they can't see it. Aaron Sims came to us from the California Department of Corrections, and he attended the 127th Regional Police Academy with Officer Caleros, who will also come up here. And Officer Caleros came to us from the Department of Defense Police. And he also attended the 127th Police Academy and was just given the keys to his car today. So he's excited to start that, but I really wanted to just bring them in and have them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about them. So Aaron.
Morning for me, but good afternoon, everybody. I'm Aaron Sims, originally from San Diego, California. Attended Helix High School right here down the street. Like Chief Sweeney said, I've been here for about a year now. I'm excited to be here, excited to be in the city of La Mesa. Thank you for everybody's support that's had the decision and the hiring process or whatever the case is. I enjoy working here. I feel like we have full support from you guys and the command staff as well. So just happy to be here and excited.
And Aaron's currently working nights, so he gets to go to work after me. I'm sorry, Matt. Yeah, Aaron. So, Ruben, you're next.
Yeah, my name is Ruben Claros, born here in San Diego. I grew up in Chula Vista. Married. My wife's also in law enforcement. She's a border patrol agent. And then we have our 2 kids, which go to school at Japanese Spring Valley. Served in the military. I was in the United States Navy. I was a foreman. I did tour in Iraq as a combat medic with the United States Marine Corps as well. I was at DOD Police. Shortly during that time, I graduated college with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice administration with the emphasis in human services. And then when I started applying to get out of the federal government, I was blessed to be able to come to the La Mesa Police Department, especially with the influx of citizens that are moving and residents that are moving into the city of La Mesa. This department is on its way up to grow within numbers of residents, but also within the officer community as well. So to be on the forefront, especially with this next big surge of promotions, hirings, and officers, is one of the good things to look forward to.
All right. And any questions for Aaron or Ruben?
Were you Navy Corpsman?
Yes, sir.
Graduated from Balboa Hospital, huh?
No, I did not. I went to
Corpus?
Great Lakes.
Great Lakes.
Yes, sir.
And what did you play for football?
Played corner.
That's what I thought.
Where is your wife stationed?
Oh, my wife's an agent in Imperial Beach, but currently assigned to recruiting out of Chula Vista.
So I did a ride along and met Ruben Calleros while he was working, and so I got to see him working in the field, and I really enjoyed talking to him and learned a lot that day from the ride along from what the officers do day in and day out. It was impressive. So thank you, Ruben, for your time, and yeah, congratulations to both of you.
All right, thank you all very much. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Okay, just a few more things. We actually, 4 or 5 more things. I just want to get you updated on what our staffing looks like. So right now, we have actually 2 open police officer positions, which is a good thing. We're getting there. On Friday, we will graduate 3 police officers from the police academy. And so they will start into training. Currently, we have another 4 in training right now. So that's 7. We have 2 that are going to the academy in June, and probably another 2 to 3 in the academy in August. So if you count those numbers against our total numbers, which is 70 sworn police officers, it's challenging. And so when it comes to the summer, I just want to let you know a few things. We have a sergeant pending retirement. He's going to retire in August. And then towards the end of the year, we have a lieutenant pending retirement, which will open another sergeant's position. What I've asked the department, what I've told them moving forward is that we will focus all of our efforts into patrol. So if we've already kind of, broken things down from our special investigations unit and brought them over to detectives to help out. We're basically trying to keep patrol afloat. Not to fear, we're doing it. But it just takes time. Like I said, that 1-year training process is where we run into issues. And right now we're kind of staggering along to start to fill those positions as they come open. We should have another officer coming off of training here in the next couple of weeks that'll help with our overtime. Officers are working a lot of overtime right now to cover those shifts. And I want to also give a hats off to our dispatchers, because they are struggling right now too as far as staffing. We are down 1 dispatcher, but that dispatcher, when you add in schools, vacations, the normal things throughout the year, they're working a lot of overtime right now just to cover the holes. So they're doing a tremendous job. I like to say nobody's complaining, but you know how it is when you're working so much overtime, it affects you both physically, mentally, and at home. So our big push has been officer wellness. Right now we're in our training cycles, and so officer wellness is one of those. So we're pushing that with the officers, making sure that they know what we have available here in La Mesa. As I said before, we are absolutely the best, in my opinion, in the county as far as officer wellness and the training and the support that we give here at La Mesa Police Department. Let's see, as far as community events, we're still trying to squeeze in community events as we go. So we did 2 catalytic converter engraving events that were over at Public Works. We had a huge turnout, actually a huge demand for that, since that's one of the crimes that's skyrocketing across the county and the nation right now.
My neighbors had it happen.
Right.
$2,300 it cost.
It's ridiculous. And, we're working on trying to find different ways to attack it at different levels. So, obviously if they're taking them, they're selling them to somebody. So that investigative process is going. But what we've done for our citizens of La Mesa is actually engraved their license, or their VIN number into the catalytic converter. So that if they get in there and they steal it, it comes back, we can find out exactly where it was taken.
Do you paint the catalytic converters?
We do not paint them, we engrave them.
No, I know they also are finding that painting is a deterrent.
Yeah, we may take a look into that going in the future.
High temp paint.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate. As far as city departments, to try and just think outside the box how we can help. Because it is unfortunate. You're talking $3,000, just like you said, Mr. Duff, to get.
Still drive a Prius.
Yeah, Priuses and Ford Econoline vans. It's just across the board with this. Like I said, the bottom line is finding out where they're going and targeting the people that are taking them. We definitely want to find the people that have them in the back of their cars to take them to jail, because of the expense, obviously, that puts on our citizens.
Does that cost or the expense of it, does that make it a felony?
It does. It's a $3,000 item. So that's grand theft. I also wanted to let you know that we hired a lateral police officer. She started yesterday. Her name is Claire. She comes to us from Louisiana. She originally was at Santa Ana Police Department and then lateral out to Louisiana because of family. So she worked for a police department and a sheriff's department there. And fortunately, we were lucky enough to have her come to La Mesa Police Department. She will start her field training on Sunday. So we swore her in officially yesterday, and she'll start her field training on Sunday. That is a benefit for us, like I said, because that knocks out 6 months of an academy training when we can hire lateral police officers. We are still not having any luck, if you will, as far as true lateral police officers. And I don't mean to say Claire is not a true lateral police officer, but she's not a California current lateral police officer. So we still have that benefit available. That's up to $15,000 for intermediate post certificate and $10,000 for a basic post certificate, all within 2 years. So what I would ask the board, if you're talking to anybody, you know people that are in law enforcement, you know what a great department this is and what we're trying to build. And I would ask that you just spread that word. We're trying to do the same thing with some recruiting events that we're going to. We're trying to hit colleges, universities, literally anything that we can. So, you know, those ideas are welcome too. If we haven't tried it, we're always willing to try it. But like I said, I'll end with, we are on a great track. I've been doing one-on-one interviews with every employee in the department. So I think I have about a handful left to do. As you can imagine, that's extremely time consuming. And I wanted to give the employees that one-on-one time with me to tell me what their needs are. I have 4 questions of them, excuse me. If you could change one thing at La Mesa Police Department, doesn't have to be one, what would it be? Do you feel valued, respected, and safe? And what I mean by safe is not that you have the best bulletproof vest and the best vehicles, but safe mentally. That if you experience a critical incident, do you feel safe that you could go to somebody to ask and say, hey, you know what? I'm just not right here. Or even the things that you bring from home, so that they feel safe while they're doing that. I asked them what I can do for them. Because I don't know, I've never been asked that in my career, you know, from a chief, what a chief could do for me. So I think it's extremely important that they know that I'm here for them. They know that this board is here for them, the city, this department. So it's been a great conversation. Some have lasted about 45 minutes. I think it's been the shortest, and 2.5 hours so far has been the longest. All with great suggestions for moving forward, making us better. Everybody wants to be a piece of this machine that moves forward and we get better. And that's why I say, you know, when I bring them in here to introduce you to our officers, I want you to know who they are as a person. Because that's truly what it is. It's the human behind the badge. And we have some great police officers and professional civilian staff that are working with us. So as we move forward, I'll continue to introduce them to you. But that has gone over very well. We did implement beards, which was a hard one for me to swallow, to be completely honest. But we allow for beards, goatees. You know, my paradigm is I've never seen that. So, but it's not about me. And that's what I keep saying. This is not about me. This is about how we get better. How do we keep morale? And that's my last question was, do you have any ideas for morale improvement? And so we've got a lot of great ideas. I've got a list that is about it's entirely one of these that we've talked about. We've also implemented just some little things around the office, which, you know, you don't know about until you hear, that are very small, low-hanging fruit that we can address and bring the morale up. So the morale is very good right now. And that's our goal, to keep it up. The staffing is our issue, like I said, so we're going to continue to struggle with that as we get police officers. If we get lateral police officers, we can plug right in, that's great. But we're going to try and keep up the morale by, you know, getting the staffing numbers filled, and hopefully people aren't working so much overtime that it's bringing that morale down. So I know that was a lot. I'll stop, and if anybody has any questions.
Salary-wise, are we competitive with other agencies?
Very competitive.
Good.
Yeah.
Chief, I had a question. So just in the advertising, recruiting, have you tried going to some of the colleges and the career fairs that they have?
Yeah.
Because they all have them.
You see, the issue is, well, I won't say the issue. We're very successful with getting entry-level police officers.
Yeah.
So those are the ones that have to go to the police academy. Where we have not had a lot of luck is lateral police officers, those that have experience. So, people ask me, how are you doing with staffing and recruiting? We're doing great. We're getting a lot of great candidates, but that's a year. So yeah, but we've been going to those different places. We were fortunate to get Ruben from the Department of Defense Police, but that is not a post-approved organization. So even though he's doing most of the things that we do on a military base, he still had to go to a full police academy.
Do you talk with the other chiefs? Because I hear San Diego always has that problem too. They say they're going to Chula Vista and, blah, blah, blah. Do you talk to them and see what type of problems they have as far as getting that lateral movement, or just pure retention?
I do. The only agency right now that currently has no issues with laterals is El Cajon Police Department. I think they got 20 plus laterals from San Diego Police Department. And that was mainly because of the vaccine issue. And obviously we are in a point right now, well, not right now, for the last 2 years of trying to rebuild, so I think that, it has to have something to do with, people are just unsure. They're not sure what La Mesa is all about. They're seeing a lot of great things. They're hearing a lot of great things, but that really is a word of mouth, issue. So police officers across the nation right now they're looking for where the best place for them to go is. So we're going to continue. The chiefs are all having the same issues. So I'm not saying that La Mesa is unique and that we're all having hiring issues, but as far as laterals, I think we're more unique than any other agency in the county.
And I think that's something that you hear in the media on a regular basis, the plea for more officers. But the lateral part, I didn't have any clue on that one. So that kind of brings up a different point. So,
So,
All right.
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, Chief, I was just wondering, on the list of items you have that will help to keep morale high, if there's anything we can do, or if you have anything, areas where we could help, you can let us know or add it to our agenda for our next meeting and we can discuss it.
Absolutely. I will. Thank you for that.
And all right. Well, thank you, Chief Sweeney. If there are no more questions, we can move on to this. Also, the next item on the agenda also addresses Chief Sweeney's upcoming community conversations and listening sessions. And with these community conversations, I believe, Chief Sweeney, you're looking at July and August. Are you still thinking about consecutive Thursday evenings?
I'm open to anything, the consecutive Thursday evenings, even on a weekend, to get more turnout. And I know the chair that you and I had talked briefly about an update on mental health services here in the county and here at La Mesa Police Department, and also as far as our home program. So I wanted to throw those two out as kind of a conversation starter, is just to give the community an update on what those two things are and how we're doing. Because the reality is we are doing outstanding when we are compared to any other agency in the county, especially when it comes to homeless. Our homeless outreach and mobile engagement team has been just doing a great job. And, the numbers that are coming out in the point in time count will show that. So we're excited. I've had conversations with members of the community about, we see a lot of homeless out there. It's true. You do. I think, that started during COVID, because those that would typically hide or in different areas, they came out. So they're out either to get help or, to stay safe. Fortunately for us, we're able to house a lot of those. So that's one of the ideas, just to go over the mental health calls for service with MCRT, the program that was implemented not too long ago. Is that here in East County, you see them out in our parking lot because that's where they stage. But we're very happy to have them here in East County. And we can hand off non-emergency mental health calls for service to get people some help. And then our home program. I also wanted to just throw out my ideas really is I don't want, and I've told you this from the beginning, this is not about me. I want the community to know our officers. I want the community to know who they are, what they're about. So in these next community conversations, that's where my focus is going to be, is an introduction. I'll still have a chief's listening session. Those are always fun to do. But, I want to get our officers out there to be seen and known by the community, because my goal moving forward, and I've said this to the officers, is that when you're driving down the street in the area that you're working, that people should know you by name. We're not that big. I don't want to ever get that big, but we're still not that small. So, going calls to calls, there should be people and businesses that you talk to on a daily basis that know who you are and they know where to go to get help. So that'll be the focus moving forward with the summer conversations.
Yeah, so I know there are others on the board here who may have some ideas or suggestions regarding themes that we could focus on for any of the upcoming conversations. And yeah, one of them that Chief and I were discussing was on homelessness and mental health, and who are the people involved that could speak to that, to our community, and answer their questions. So any other focus areas that you may be thinking maybe something to consider for a theme? And I think you were thinking of something.
It was same thing, the houseless population that I was thinking of, which, you already mentioned, you will do something about that.
Oh, okay. And I think you and I had discussed briefly just outreach to youth or youth programs, and because Anna represents the youth in our community, that's also important. I know youth are very concerned about homeless issues, but there's a lot of great programs that Chief Sweeney's and the department has that address youth outreach. So Chief Sweeney, do you want to mention a few of those?
Yeah, actually, I appreciate you bringing that up, because it reminds me we have a Youth Leadership Academy that we do every year. So that's going to be happening on June 7th. It's on our website. I spoke to some kids from Grossmont High School yesterday. Chair Castaños and I spoke to some kids at Helix High School to get them to apply. So we still have some openings, but that Youth Leadership Camp or Youth Leadership Academy is really a great opportunity for the youth, not only to engage with us out of uniform, because that's what it is. We're going out, we're kayaking, we're doing some leadership challenges, I don't remember what they call it. It's like a jungle gym challenge. I can't recall. Confidence course. Thank you. We do a confidence course. The kids get out there. They get to hang out with us. They go through scenarios, but it's mainly about really just showing them what kind of leader they are and what kind of a leader they can be moving forward. I attended a meeting last night with Hope Alliance, which is an organization here in La Mesa that is just trying to map out what La Mesa has to offer as far as services, and a one-stop shop, if you will, where you can go and just say, I need this, and you click on it, you know exactly where it's at in La Mesa. And part of that was some Grossmont High School students, like I said, were there from the Red Club. It's the first I'd heard about the Red Club, but they are basically a support mechanism for abused children that can go there and they do the support there, but it's also for houseless kids that are struggling with that on their lives. So that's another piece of outreach that I was able to be introduced to last night. We went from about 6 till about 8:30 last night, but it was a great meeting.
Yeah, there are a lot of great officers in your department that are very active in, like, Game Changers. Several of us, I should say, participated in that with Helix students, and Pizza with a Popo, Mending Matters, lots of things coming up that I think could really add to that community conversation and just give people a chance to find out what your youth outreach is as well. So that's great. Any other ideas in terms of themes that any of you may have thought about?
Chair Castaños, I believe we have a hand raised. Board Member Tiffany.
Tiffany, yes, thank you. Caitlin, go ahead.
Yes, not a theme per se, but just a suggestion. I think it is really good for the community to get to know the officers. I think that's easier to do when they're not in uniform. Maybe a couple in uniform, but I remember when I went to the first meeting last summer, there were a lot of police officers there, which is great. But it was actually very intimidating for me, even though I know many of you. But
Right.
to see so many people in uniform was like, oh, okay. And then it makes you a little bit more hesitant to say, okay, I have an idea about this, because that's definitely a symbol of authority, and makes the distance between you greater, and it's harder to have a conversation. So just something to think about is maybe have some of those police officers in plain clothes, and also just and I know our police officers do tend to be very good at this, but just as a reminder, especially because there are a lot of overtime and it starts to get exhausting. If these are listening sessions, you do need to listen, which that definitely happened last time. So I'm not saying that it's not happening, just like reminder to, take care of yourself so that you can take in the comments, because when you're listening to people over and over again talk about what they need and everything, it can get tiring. But it does need to go both ways. The community needs to get to know the police officers, and the police officers need to get to know the community. So maybe doing a little like nice thing for the police before they go to the meeting or something, so that they're like in a good headspace to talk to people. Just some suggestions.
I promise I won't bring any spent up police officers that are working a ton of overtime. I appreciate that though. And as far as the civilian clothes, I think, no, that's a great idea. We do that with game changers. And so, I have a couple ideas in my head that, I don't want to give away right away, but, the whole lunch and learn, come break bread, pizza with a popo is good, but maybe you come do pizza with a popo and guess who the popo are? Because we're all in there. And so just a couple thoughts. I mean, we'll see. The summer is going to be extremely busy for us, like I said, as far as recruiting and staffing. But we'll definitely, I've got some great ideas, and my staff has got some great ideas. So I look forward to that. I appreciate your suggestions.
And one last, go ahead.
Yeah, I had one more thought. I was thinking, I don't know if any departments do anything online on their web pages with intros by police officers, but that's a way for the community to be able to see who they are. Maybe a short statement: here's who I am, here's where I came from, here's what I think, here's why I love what they say, whatever it is, some kind of.
If I could just share one thought to that, and I hope you can appreciate it. Over the last 2 years, our officers have been doxxed as far as their social media accounts, their home addresses. So they're a little bit concerned about things like that, especially that are living forever on the internet. Not everybody is concerned, but it was quite traumatic across the nation, but especially here in San Diego County and La Mesa, with social media addresses being posted online, and all it takes really is, it's unfortunate, one bad incident or one looks like a bad incident, and the next thing you know, you have people on your street. And you're concerned about your family. So that's the concern from our officers. I just want to make sure that was out there.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Sense. So I know several of us attended, I think Bob and Larry, Patricia, Yashika, and I attended the de-escalation training. That was really impressive. And just sharing some of the, latest changes to policies or improvements, implicit bias training, and all of the things that have been done in the last couple of years, I think would really wake people up quite a bit about what's happening in our police department. That's pretty darn impressive. So that would be another possible theme. So,
Chair, we do have one hand raised from the public.
Okay, let's go ahead and hear from the community.
Andy Trimlet, you should be able to unmute yourself and you'll have 3 minutes.
Cool. Thanks so much. First, I just want to say I went to one of the listening sessions on the first round, and I thought it went really well. And I was really appreciative of the chief listening to what everybody had to say and not being judgmental about it, but just like genuinely listening, even when I went on for quite some time. So I think for this time around, to echo what Janet just said, it would be great to hear about some of the training that's been going on implicit bias and related issues. And I think it'd be really helpful to hear from the officers themselves, like what they've taken away from that training, so that you could hear, you know, because you can tell if someone is really like taken on that in their own personal beliefs, or if they just have, you know, kind of read the cheat sheet. So I think it'd be really helpful to hear it from them. It makes a big difference. And then also, I'm a huge nerd, so I'd love to see some data and statistics presented, or at least available on, you know, arrest rates, use of force rates, field interview rates, you know, comparing ethnicity and that sort of thing. And see, you know, over time, so seeing if there's been any change. I know it hasn't been that long, so it's kind of, it's a big ship to steer, but at least to know that that's being paid attention to and that those numbers are being looked at, I think would be really valuable for the community. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and there's that's a great idea, because there's a number of, you know, data points out there from our survey, which we conducted, that the results weren't too different from the city survey. The only good thing about our survey was we could break it down by age and ethnicity, and it did tell us a little bit more because of that. But you know, even that information, it's helpful to know what our baseline data is and how can we grow, so that, you know, this next time we do it, things will get a little bit better. The year after that, things will get better, and we'll just continue to see progress in the direction we want to go. So, you know, that's really great to kind of share that kind of information with the public. So great.
Absolutely.
Other comments? All right. Caitlin, Caitlin, go ahead.
Yeah, just quickly, I wanted to mention, I think people tend to get scared when we say, oh, let's look at the race and ethnicity data. But I think it's important to see this not as necessarily oh no, you're doing a bad job kind of thing. For example, I look at my equity data regularly as a professor. Like, do I have equity gaps in my students? And I do. And that doesn't mean that I'm an awful professor and I am horrible racist. What it means is that I should be looking for ways to improve. So we can look at that, and I think as a board, we can agree, we're not saying, oh, let's look at this data so that we can be upset with you. That's not it. Let's look at this data so that we can think creatively about how to make improvements.
Really good point, because we all learn from, you know, a lot of times we're just simply unaware. I mean, teachers were made aware of the fact that they didn't call on girls as much as boys, and, you know, female teachers are going, really? Those are my rates? That's really shocking. So I think we all learn and grow and become better when we see this data and can start to look at ways to address it, because yeah, it's very helpful. Definitely. So anyway, we'll figure out a good way to do this. All right. Yes, that's the key, a good way. All right, any other comments, questions? So I noticed that Reverend Christian DeMint is back on board, and we skipped over his introduction earlier with 5.2 on the agenda. So if we could go back to that. Christian, can you unmute yourself and give us a little bit of information about yourself and what you do in the community?
Absolutely. First of all, I just want to apologize for popping on and then popping off. My son was having a doctor's appointment, and I was able to do it FaceTime, and this meeting started. His doctor's appointment started, so I had to sign off. But my name is Reverend Christian Dement. I am a pastor at La Mesa First United Methodist Church. We're that church on the corner of Palm and Lemon with the big bell tower and the gold dome at the top. I am a lifelong La Mesa resident. I actually went to that preschool, was baptized in that church, went to the Avenue Junior High and Helix High School. My parents still live here in La Mesa. They live only a few blocks away from my home here in La Mesa now. It's just really a rare thing to be able to be appointed as a United Methodist pastor in your home church, in your hometown. So I'm really excited about that. Our church is very much concerned about our community health and our relationships with one another and how we care for one another. And when those things happened in May of 2020, I just had been appointed at that church, and it of course was something that was a great topic of concern and issue, and it really drew the congregation to want to respond in a very productive way. And when this opportunity presented itself, it seemed like a good fit. My hope is to learn more about how we can bridge the relationships between our law enforcement and those who are in our community, our neighbors, and how we can support one another. I think that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Well,
I do have a 9-year-old who goes to Lemon Avenue, and my wife in Valley School District.
Well, we're lucky to have you on this board. We really appreciate your voice and the active engagement of your church body within the city of La Mesa. Their church hosted La Mesa Conversations event called Day of Remembrance, the 1 year following the May 30th, 2020 day in La Mesa. That we wanted to address with, healing, growth, moving forward in a positive direction. And thank you to First United Methodist for that, allowing us that space. So thank you. That's wonderful to have you.
Thank you for welcoming me.
Any questions or comments? All right. Well, we're all glad you're here. We have a full board now, so it's great. All right, the 5.5 item on the agenda is the updated independent police auditor quarterly report. And I believe, Carlo, I believe that a copy of this was sent out to the board members along with the chief's responses. Is that correct?
That is correct, Madam Chair. We included the updated quarterly report along with the chief's response in your agenda packet.
Okay, perfect. And so with that, Rick, would you like to speak to some of the changes and whatever you'd like to address in this quarterly report?
Yeah, I'll turn it over to Dennis in just a minute because he's taking the lead on this now. But we incorporated the changes that you all wanted. I think we've made it more user-friendly and encapsulates everything that's occurred in the department up until the end of the last quarter. We'll issue another one next quarter. Dennis, you want to take it from there?
I'll just add something very short is that great cooperation from the PD in terms of getting what we need very quickly. It's been really helpful to us to be able to get that turned around in this document. And if there's things in the board sees in the document that they'd like changed around, let me know. But this is kind of the format we're planning on using on the quarterly basis for you.
Yeah, thank you for summarizing or giving a synopsis for each item as we had requested. That looks really good and much more comprehensible with identifying the acronyms. So that was huge. And then it looks like there's 4 items, or maybe, yeah, I think there's 4 items that we have asked you to move forward with in terms of in conducting an audit. And so are you in the process of getting going with that? Either Rick or Dennis?
Yeah, we are. We've gotten 2 already and they're completed. We're still waiting on the other 2. And I'll work with Matt offline on that.
And in this report, there were a number of recommendations, and Chief Sweeney was so gracious as to jump right on board and provide the response from the department regarding these recommendations. And it's very thorough, very complete. He's addressed everything in a manner that's comprehensible to the public, so I appreciate that. Anything you'd like to add, Chief Sweeney, to your responses?
No, I think, you can read through the responses. I think they're thorough. I want to make sure that everybody understands what we do, why we do it. And we get recommendations like this, like I said, and I'll say it over and over again, there's nothing wrong with more eyes on the way that we're doing things. And especially, we're not hiding anything. Our officers are human. We receive complaints. It's important that you see what those are, what they're all about, and how they ended up. So I think the report, I'm really happy with it. I think it came out very good as far as giving you a synopsis of what happened so that you get a little bit more insight into the situation. And then, my responses are just, they're my responses. Where, we know what we're focused on. We're focused on moving forward, not backwards.
I appreciate that about you. So at this point, this document will move forward to City Council. Is that correct, Carlo Tomaino?
That's correct, Madam Chair. So we're going to do a few things. One is we're going to post the quarterly report on the CPOB webpage along with the chief's response. And then we're also going to forward those documents to the City Council, which helps us to satisfy our reporting requirements.
So at this point, we don't have to vote for approval, or should we do that?
I would suggest a motion and a vote to move forward with the quarterly report as presented.
I move that we move forward with the quarterly report as presented.
I'll second that motion.
I'm sorry, but I didn't hear. Oh, was that Michael? Were you the second?
That was Board Member Walker that seconded.
Okay, thank you.
Board Member Walker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Tiffany, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member McWilliams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Johnson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Fuentes, how do you vote? Yes. Board Member Duff, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Dement, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Darby, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Blackman, how do you vote? Board Member Blackman? And Chair Castanos, how do you vote?
Yes.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
So item 5.6 on the agenda is a potential formation of a CPOB ad hoc committee regarding ongoing community outreach and engagement efforts, and particularly regarding community awareness. We realize that a lot of people in La Mesa are not aware of how to file a complaint if they needed to. There are a lot of forms that they're not familiar with the process, and we just wanted to get word out about how that process works, and just in general, how to ask questions and participate in the discussion regarding our police department. So what do you feel about an idea of forming an ad hoc committee among the CPOB members, 5 of us preferably, who can discuss some of the ideas and even maybe assist or meet with the chief regarding the community outreach and listening sessions that he holds and offer some ideas there as well. Any thoughts on that idea?
I would be down to be on that subcommittee.
Okay, that'd be great. Caitlin, thank you. Anybody else interested?
Yeah, I'm interested.
Leon?
Me too, Jenna.
Leroy, Ellie.
And me as well. Anna?
Anna, okay, thank you. Be nice to get one more.
Dare I throw my hat in the ring? This is my first meeting.
I know. It's up to you,
But
yeah.
community outreach is something, it's in my wheelhouse, so that'll be
That
good.
that is who you are. So let's add you and hope that it works for your busy schedule, but everybody's busy, so you won't overtax anyone. All right, so we've got 5. I would like to be on it. Caitlin, Leroy, Anna, and Christian. Did I miss anybody? Okay, sounds good. And again, as far as forming an ad hoc committee, does that require a vote or can we just decide to move forward with that?
Yeah, let's take a vote on that, please.
Okay. So we need a motion and a second.
And so move we establish an ad hoc committee to be involved in community outreach and understanding of the complaint process.
Larry?
I'll second that.
Is that Anna?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Anna.
Board Member Walker, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Tiffany, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member McWilliams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Johnson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Fuentes, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Dove, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Dement, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Darby, how do you vote?
Yes.
Board Member Blackman, how do you vote? I believe she left the meeting, and Chair Castanos.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay.
Okay, with all voting yes. Thank you, Stacy, appreciate that. So we can move on to item number 6 on the agenda, staff and board member announcements. Do any of you have announcements you'd like to make?
Yeah, I got one. It was just a follow-up on what the chief said about the law enforcement memorial ceremony. So 3 of us had attended. It was really a powerful memorial. I can only imagine going to do that multiple times. And it made me think about some of the things we're doing here at the board and a couple of our subcommittees in terms of the wellness and the training subcommittees, and just to stress that police officers are under, barring all the super negative things that can happen. But just like you said, Chief, there are things that happen all the time and people have to deal with them. And I know we have a lot of things in place, but it just kind of hammered home for me that we need to have a lot of programs to help folks out, because there's a lot of stress there, and stress will be just from the inside out, right? You know that. So that's my biggest takeaway from that whole event.
And also the fact that we have not lost any La Mesa police officers. None have fallen.
Yeah.
Yeah, knock on wood. That's really great news. Thank you, Leroy, for mentioning that.
If I could just interject for just a second.
Sure.
I would tell you that probably my guess is the officers that really appreciate members attending that ceremony. That's going to go a long way towards building that cooperation between the board and members of the department, line level members, when they see that commitment by the board to understand them and to really kind of, in some respects, pay respect to what they do and for what they have done. I think it's a great thing that you did that, and I think that's going to go a long way to help build those bridges.
Yeah, thank you for
Chair
mentioning that.
Castanos?
Yes.
I apologize for interrupting. We did have one member of the public. It looks like they raised their hands. I'm assuming it was for the last item, as this item is not necessarily meant for public comment. But would you like to hear their comment from?
Yes, yes, let's hear it.
Andy, you should be able to unmute yourself and you'll have 3 minutes.
Cool. It's me again. And yeah, I was for the last thing, but I was going to encourage you to vote yes. So, but I did come up with a list of suggestions, which I love because I don't have to do any of them. So I could just throw out these ideas. But I think presentations in high schools would be a great way to spread the word. Flyers in local businesses is probably an obvious one. You know, a social media account requires a lot of attention, but you could probably get just a snappy graphic made and post that to all the La Mesa social media groups, you know, La Mesa happenings and such. You can run social ads for like as little as like $20, or even a few $100s will get you a lot of views on Facebook. You can run a TikTok ad campaign for as little as $500. And you can run ads on Spotify and Pandora that target La Mesa listeners. That's another great way to do it. And that's, you know, a few $100. None of these are really expensive. I've also heard of places where police officers hand out a business card with information about the local oversight board, so that if people have concerns or whatever, they can they have that information right in front of them. I think doing a presentation for city employees would also be a great plan, because the more city employees know about it, the more they can spread the word in the community. And then I would also recommend reaching out to local media for discussions. For example, the anniversary of May 30th is the perfect time to hold a discussion about police oversight in La Mesa. I would almost guarantee that KPBS would be interested in doing that, and other media outlets as well. So those are a few ideas. I can text them or email them to one of you.
Yeah, that's great, Andy. You're always a wealth of information, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Larry Darby, you have a comment regarding staff member announcements.
Yeah, a couple of things, both involving NACOL. Just mark on your calendars in case you're interested. The NACOL annual convention will be in Fort Worth, September 11th through September 15th, in case you might have interest in going. Second thing is there's a NACOL webinar scheduled for June 14th at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and it's covering the Brady versus Maryland and the Giglio versus US court rulings, which requires that exculpatory information be given to the defendant's defense, including witnesses that may not be all that credible. So they're going to go over the rulings and the significance of it and stuff. So it looks, to me, it's an interesting webinar to attend, and that's on June 14th at 10 a.m.
Yeah, and it would be great.
If anybody wants to attend that, just email me and we'll get you signed up.
Okay, that's great.
The city will cover. If you don't have my email address, I can get it for you.
Yeah, Lynn, maybe you can send out the information about that webinar to all of us, and people can check their calendars and get back to you, because I know it was like $15 registration fee or something. And if Lynn has your names, he will sign us up, those of us who are interested. So
yeah, that's an even better idea, especially with the new members we have on board that probably don't have my email. So I will send something out to everybody.
Okay, don't pay for me. I'm already paid for.
Larry, get reimbursed.
Okay.
You're too nice.
Okay.
All right. And Larry, did you have another item, or those were those two NACOL items, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. And I just wanted to say, I think there have been a few of us who have already done a ride along, and I just want to encourage everybody. You don't have to stay that long. You could just do a couple of hours if that's all you've got. But it is just it's such an eye-opener. It's such a great experience. You really come to appreciate the officers immensely by what they do and their patience, and how effectively and patiently they deal with every single person they come in contact with. And I was completely and totally impressed with the young officer, and he's been with the force for, I think, 15 years, but he was just a wonderful person, and I was impressed with how well he handled everything all day long. I highly recommend you take part in a ride-along, and right now the person you contact is Sergeant Brett Riley. So Lynn, maybe that could be another thing to send out to everybody, is Brett Riley's email contact information regarding a ride-along, and he'll set it up for you. He'll set it up as safely as you want. If you want to go with somebody who's completely vaccinated, he will do that. He's just very helpful, and the officers, that all the ones that I met that day were amazing, amazing. I can't say enough good things about them. So yeah, highly recommend the experience for all of us on this board.
Chair, can I just interject one thing, if you don't mind? I know that we talked about that ad hoc committee, and I feel it's important for me to say this right now. We talk about the complaint process, and I know this board and you guys have been doing an amazing job, but I think it's equally important that we look at letting the citizens know how to make a commendation as well as a complaint, or even calling out a great de-escalation that they've seen. That's what we're talking about moving forward. So I just want to throw that out there. I know that that was the intent. I just want to make sure that it was here.
I love that idea because I like the fact that you're integrating, positive reinforcement and acknowledgements on your force. And I think that's so important because the work they do, like I said, is absolutely phenomenal. So we need to recognize that over and over again. And that's great, is to, look at the commendation form as well. It's got to be both for sure.
That was my bad, Chief. I should have included that in the motion. Please forgive me.
No worries. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it up because we kind of lost sight of that.
Chair, I do have one staff announcement.
Yes.
So the city has invested in some significant technology upgrades for the police department community room. And so if those are going to be ready for next month, we may have a change of venue. So we wouldn't be meeting here. We would be having our hybrid meeting at the police department headquarters in the community room next month in June. So we will provide more details once those upgrades are completed and tested and let you know.
That is fabulous news. I hope that works. That would be great. And hopefully most of us will be there in person next time. So thank you. All right, I think everybody's had a chance to make an announcement. All right, so we appreciate you. We're gonna adjourn the meeting at 5:06. And thank you all very much for all your contributions tonight.
Next meeting date. Next meeting date.
Oh, the next meeting date is June 15th. Thank you.
Thank you.